All right, we're looking at the hull C. Something about this ship. Now, I have been playing around with kind of like the textures here, which we've discussed quite a bit, but let me just give you a quick refresh. If you haven't seen one of these videos before, welcome to the channel. If we crack this texture open here, let's go into shading, and we can see that this top texture is nothing more than this one, just differently UV wrapped. What really got me interested was this section up here. Even though it's kind of like egg-shaped in a way, it's still interesting to see how they've UV unwrapped it and got this really nice result. Frustrating. You know what? Just looking at this texture. Have they just drawn lines? No. No, they haven't. It's fine. But also this kind of like corrugated material. Love this material. It's great. Look at it. I mean, you can see the texture down the bottom here on the left. Why didn't you update? Anyway, you can kind of see how the UV maps and the image correlate with each other. Interesting. The fact that we're getting this kind of detail just from a texture. It's far out, Marco. Another thing I was looking at today is, once again, I was looking at the Argon Mole because that is just a beautiful ship. But I can't do it on this one, which is really interesting. So if we select this area, go into edit mode, we can see that the decals are directly on. It's actually a separate object. So if I were to select kind of like these words, for instance, or these decals up here, you can see how the decals themselves are a separate object. Now what's really interesting is looking at the mole without the decals. It's just straight lines to an extent. But as well here, we get to kind of see what the decals themselves actually look like and how many are being used to like bring out the most out of this mesh model ship. Should I buy the Argon Mole? Leave a comment. But once again, just coming back to the sea, the clean lines really intrigued me. Because normally a lot of spaceships we see have a lot of greebling and so on and so forth. At the back here, pretty much the textures are doing all the heavy lifting. Now as well, funny thing about this one is there's not a lot of external lighting to accentuate the mesh. There's kind of like a few down here that are breaking up the silhouette on here, but other than that, not so much. One thing that I absolutely always love looking into is walking into cockpits. Oh my goodness, go into material mode, Marco. The interiors are something that really intrigued me, and they always do well in getting it right. Let's just go into material mode for now, just so we can kind of see it a little bit better. Especially the consoles. Consoles are always interesting for me. I think we always try and overcomplicate it. I mean, this is a bit of a capital ship, but we can see how many buttons we have on the right-hand side here. By the looks of it, it's probably a floating screen. I don't own the ship, so I don't actually know. But even these chairs are so simple, far out. Now, I'm intrigued about this chair. Is that a decal or is it a cushion? And what I'm saying there is, yeah, okay, it's a very simple inset. None of that stitching decals that come across over. There's none of that stitching decals that come over the top of some of the other ships we've been looking at. I do like this pipage here, how it breaks up the lines underneath. Gosh dang it. Very simple little light. That's 0 watts at the moment. I'm going to assume that glows when maybe we're in tack mode or something. But as well, one thing I got distracted by the roof. One thing I really like is these giant windows. I think this is something that I've been doing something a bit stupid about, and it's always been having square windows. Why are we having square windows? Where kind of like, we've got this massive sweeping window, and we even look at the Argon Mole here. Even that is a simple window. There's no bracing on the inside. I love breaking down models like this so I get a better understanding of what the heck is going on. Also, Blender Conference is happening at the moment. There is an artist here that did a concept art for Star Citizen. That's actually not too bad of a watch. I recommend watching that one. I'm kind of slowly going through everything else, but yes, go to the Blender site. No, actually, there'll be a link in the description. One thing I've noticed though that I've been thinking about is that I'm always trying to create everything modular. I don't need to make everything modular. Not everything's going to be a game. So for instance, we can see on the wall on the right here, that is not a modular asset. That is just a hallway. And I think I've got Pricey to blame for that one. And that's these two videos here from 12 years ago. Oh man, that was a long time ago. I'm old. I think the other thing that's missing as well is the trim sheets. So for instance, this kind of like airlock. I don't have my own style trim sheet in terms of kind of like text and so on and so forth. Like I've got one that's available on Patreon and so on and so forth, but a specific design. If you look at all the ships in Star Citizen, each brand of ship have their own text. And I think that's what I'm missing. A lot of the textures in here are doing the heavy lifting. I mean, a lot of the decals as well. And that's stuff that we've spoken about earlier. I mean, in previous videos. But just the simple curvature of the ship is kind of like what really got me intrigued. Now, out of curiosity, are these separate meshes? Control L. No, they are joined meshes. So now, if there's any other ships you want me to look at, I'm really intrigued about it. I'm not able to, even if you find some ships on some other asset stores, let me know. I'm probably happy to get access to them and download them and buy them if need be, just so we can kind of do a breakdown around those ones. But just leave a comment below on what I need to find.